Welcome to Meet Me in the City, a podcast exploring music through the boroughs of America. Joined as always today by my two co-hosts and good friends, Shawn and Dan. What's up, boys?
Hello.
Hey, Will.
Welcome.
Hey, Dan.
We're excited for today. We set out and made a list as we sat down and began dreaming about who we wanted to talk with about the particular city we're starting this podcast with in Dayton, Ohio. And our short list of people was confirmed as we interviewed a few folks, and the guy we have on today, his name just keeps coming up. And if you talk with anybody around town, boys, would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
This is a guy who comes up and has played in some legendary bands over the last 40 plus years, and so we're really, really excited to welcome to Meet Me in the City today, Mr. Jamy Holliday. Jamie, thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Really do appreciate you.
And I
being
think
here.
Jamie was like very short list.
Yeah.
When we started this list, you were like in our top 3.
Wow.
Yeah, we're like
fine.
Jamie
You guys need
Holiday
more friends.
is Dayton rock and roll.
He is, yeah.
So,
Well, and then when we're talking with Don Thrasher and Mitch Mitchell, and your name comes up, we're like, yeah.
Tyler Trent
and Tyler too.
from
Yeah,
Rania.
yeah.
Yeah.
All these guys keep mentioning you.
I brought a little show and tell goods here, which of course doesn't do your listeners any good. But there's one thing when you mentioned Tyler, I wish I would have thought to bring. I'll show you.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
It goes back to when they were tots.
Yeah.
Good people all.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one thing we're finding, too, is just, I don't know if it's Dayton or just musicians, but everyone just seems
It's Dayton.
Is it?
It's the Midwest. It's Ohio, and then to keep focusing in tighter, Dayton is, in my opinion, having been around the country a few times, and Western Europe. The Midwest people are. It's like people who like mega cities. You've got LA and New York, and then you've got Chicago. And Chicago's wildly different from either of those, even though it's a mega
Huge.
city.
Yeah.
But it's the only one of the 3 in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And the sensibilities are different in the Midwest. That doesn't mean that we're better. Clearly, we are. But we're different.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
And
It's
probably because the agrarian society was longer lasting in the Midwest, and so people are a little more, bare bones,
Yeah.
stripped
Yeah.
down,
Yeah. I think that
personable.
we were talking about, too, how, there's a lot of sounds that came out of Dayton, but how Dayton has that grungy feel to it, dirty little, scrappy type. Do-it-yourself. And, maybe that all talks to that, too.
I think it probably does.
Yeah.
Rust Belt towns,
Yeah.
kind of all Pittsburgh, Detroit, anywhere in Ohio.
And there's also an underlying sense of loyalty and pride, I think, too, being from a smaller town. And the more people we talk to who have been a part of this scene, I think there is a pride and loyalty and a want to support the fellow musicians in your town, the bands who are around. And you just start hearing stories about all these people who went to go see each other play. And
Once upon a time,
Yeah.
it was a little more common.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, honestly, I can't speak to the 22 to 32-year-olds because I'm not out in that world as much anymore.
Right.
But so maybe it is the same. I mean, I do see inklings of bands that I don't know who they are because I don't know them personally.
Yeah.
Right.
Once you get a generation past, you lose that intimacy of, hey, I know this guy because I see him at the grocery store
Sure.
or at all the same gigs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's overlap and people are doing that now.
Yeah.
I've seen some evidence of it, but for sure when I was coming up, absolutely, I was just talking about this the other day, absolutely everybody supported the thing because everybody was marginalized.
Yeah.
If you lived an alternative lifestyle, whether it was through your political stance or your musical stance or what you like musically or socially.
Or even just playing music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
beyond your garage or your bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
In front of somebody. Yeah.
The immortal words of Mick Montgomery: "If you want to be a supporter, you got to support the scene." And
It's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah, I think that's one of the driving factors behind the idea with this podcast is we're not sure if this idea or this kind of sensibility that we're talking about has been lost, but we know it was here in Dayton for sure, and that there was a scene that emerged because there were other people supporting each other. There was this bubbling movement, and we're just interested in exploring how that came to be and talking about the clubs that, before we started recording, we mentioned that, you played early shows at clubs and venues that aren't around anymore. We want to hear about those places because we know that like crazy bands came through there. And if we don't tell those stories, how are they going to, not get lost to time? And so we think that there's probably a ton of cities out there in America who have had an experience like Dayton, although we might find that Dayton is somewhat unique, and I think that there is a uniqueness to our town. But the idea of a scene creating bands, I just don't know if that's going to be a thing moving forward.
Creating bands on a national level, even.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Or even a local or national or in between.
For sure.
For
sure. I mean, to dial back the ethnocentric sort of pride.
Yeah.
Yes, there are bands everywhere. Yes, there are cool people.
Yeah, of course.
Almost everywhere. Yeah. And people doing their thing and people supporting other people doing their thing, whatever it is, whether it's the same or whether they overlap or whether it's just totally fucking different. Whatever. People just being righteous people.
Yeah.
I think big picture, I think we're losing that as a country, maybe as a society, maybe it's just an era around the globe.
Yeah.
Don't know. But I think in the States for sure, things like computers in your hands, or call cell phones, and not to go down old guy lane, but it's just a different time.
Sure.
So yes, there is less person-to-person storytelling, sharing of events, interest in events that last longer than 20 seconds.
Yep.
All of it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't, time marches on, it's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do still think that there are people who are willing to support whatever form of art that city has.
Yeah.
I will also then say, enough of the caveats, I do think that we are above average in that way in the city of Dayton.
Yeah, I think
have
so too.
been, still are. Again, there's a whole nother generation of people. Right now, you've got the Front Street warehouses, which is very happening, but it's a whole different crowd than it was when I lived there in 1987.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And it was a whole different crowd that was living there in 77 and in 67 and the Bohemes in the 50s and early 60s. So time marches on again. But again, right now, as evidence, there's still something happening. It's a totally different thing.
Yep.
It's mostly people coming in from the suburbs, getting experience with downtown Dayton, maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
And getting to see art of all different kinds. Right. It's just a different thing.
Yeah.
So that's one place that I find interesting. It's like, you can trace that back. It's almost like every decade they did a sweep. There'd be people living there. They moved in there for whatever artistic reasons and had studios and spaces and blah, blah, blah. And then it became a little bit too popular and a little bit too visible and might not have been up to code in more than one or all of the ways. And then they had to bring the big broom out and sweep everybody out. And no, you can't live here. And then 10 years later, there's a whole nother situation happening. Same building, same place.
Yeah.
That one in particular, I think, shows an example of yes, people are still doing things. Hopefully people are going to still do things live in the world, showing off their pictures or their paintings or their music or their poetry or furniture, or whatever they do.
That's awesome.
Well, let's get back to the beginning. Just kind of give us whatever you want. You can give us the Reader's Digest version, where you're from originally, and
now the Reader's Digest version with the Mensa test in it. It's going to take us a minute.
Your choice.
Having grown up with that as a regular part of my life when that came out, my mom was big on that Reader's Digest.
We're going to take the test, honey.
All right, Mom, let's do this.
And how you got, what was your first instrument, and how did you get interested in music originally?
Well, you know what? This is a perfect time for the show and tell. I brought 2 pictures. I got into music pretty early, Kiss. I was a 10-year-old kid.
Oh, man.
When Kiss still had makeup on. And a lot of kids in my generation, whether they were into kind of rock and roll or whatever they were into, that was the era when all the glossy magazines came out. And it seems like every week, if you were into Teen Beat or 16 or whatever your magazine was, a band like Kiss, it was Kiss. Christ, come on. It's a bunch of weirdos. Come on. Playing, questionably good music. I mean, Don't kill me.
Right.
I know a couple of people out there right now. My phone's going to be blowing up. Take it easy, Pipes. You love them.
Oh, dude, the people who love them too.
The people who love them. And this kid, this 10-year-old kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
That was awesome.
I was 10. My mother was 50 years old.
If Jamie lets us, we'll put this on the website too.
1979,
awesome.
the Dynasty Tour, Riverfront Coliseum.
Wow.
Was the first concert I ever went to.
Oh,
Wow.
So I'm 10 years old. Obviously, I was into Ace. That was the first time I'd seen music live. My very first experience.
Kiss?
Again, my 50-year-old mother takes me to Riverfront. I mean, the place was blown out.
Yeah.
I mean, people were in various states of consciousness. And I believe if you read the KISS website, it was a sellout, which was 18,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was in September, so just a few months later, the whole Who thing happened.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
People
wow.
get crushed, you know.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a sellout show. So anyway, so this kid,
That's amazing.
5 years later, this kid sees The Clash in '84.
Oh my gosh.
And I like to think that these two people are really what I do and have done since. I think I fit somewhere in between KISS in the 70s and The Clash in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And, you know, both of these bands grabbed me for different reasons.
Yeah.
So what
I
are
didn't have any
listeners?
musicians in my family. That was a school dance picture, right? You know what I mean? But I just thought it was a funny example.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, here you go.
So what our listeners cannot see, but we'll have pictures up somewhere, is a young Jamie in full KISS regalia, makeup and all.
Boots. I
Boots,
love the
everything.
boots.
Yeah.
60s go-go boots, and we made that costume out of a sun blanket.
Oh,
Remember those?
man.
Yeah.
Silver
Wow.
foil
Yeah.
sun blanket, made this whole Ace Frehley jam.
I mean, it looks spot
man.
on.
That is,
It
by the
does.
way, sanctioned KISS makeup, of course.
Right.
From Children's Palace.
Real.
Children's Palace.
That is great.
Man.
And your school
There's a
dance.
second picture, the school dance picture.
That
which,
blows my
What
mind.
year was this?
Freshman year, I don't know, whatever year, 1492. 1984.
Yep, that
Wow,
It
you're
looks
ahead of your
like-
time there
Yeah.
in that picture.
it definitely looks like something straight out of 1984.
It does.
The buttons.
Oh,
You know,
man.
I think I had all the Clash buttons in full view.
That's
That would have
amazing.
been the year I saw them. And it's really funny now, thinking about that Clash show. I just saw a picture on the interwebs today. A gal named Helen, who is Big Ed Pittman's little sister.
Okay.
Ed Pittman was the original singer for Toxic Reasons.
Oh, okay. Okay.
79.
Yeah.
And she had a family photo out in the parking lot. She's like, "Oh, family photo. I was 11," and she's at that Hair Arena show for the Clash.
Really?
And ever since I met, like, the whole crew of people I first met, the punk rock tribe that I sort of joined, and we ran into each other, I don't know, skateboard shops or out roller skating, doing skateboarding, or some of the guys I met at BMX when I was like 13 or whatever. But everyone I know, and for sure everyone in my generation that are still playing music or playing music, everybody was at that gig. So
Really?
it's really funny if you could kind of pull back now and do a massive shot of the floor and tag the technology we have now. I mean, everybody would be there.
Yeah.
And so here I'm looking at this picture just today, and it was like a total parking lot shot of Big Ed and Helen, and it was blurry, but, you know, everybody and people were like, "Oh yeah, I'm standing stage right." So I was like, "Dude, we must have been like 10 feet away from each other. We just didn't know each other."
Right. Man.
It's crazy the Clash played in Dayton. Isn't that crazy?
Well, in all fairness, Mick Jones had just left the band, so people can argue whether it was the Clash.
Okay.
yeah.
But with Simonon and Strummer, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's the Clash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think this is that out of control tour right after they sort of blew up with
Yeah.
the Casbah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
But-
amazing.
Anyway,
So when you
This is show
saw
and tell.
Kiss and then the Clash, is that when you're like, that's what I
I
want to
think
do?
it was probably festering, you know, because, you know, as a kid, I was listening to radio, rock and roll, and when I'm 10, 11, 12, 13, you know, you listen to all the stuff that's on the mega radio.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then I kind of got turned out. It must have been like 14. I had a schoolmate. Her name was Fred. Hello, Fred. She sort of turned me out, so to speak, on punk rock, you know, and made me a comp tape. She was a freak. And She made me my very first punk rock comp tape, which I still have, and still I don't know how, after rewinding the accordion tape 150,000 times with a variety of pencils and big pens, and having to Frankenstein the front of one side of the tape to the back. I think one side's a black TDK and the other side's a white Maxell, whatever. You know, she made me this comp tape, and oddly enough, on that comp tape with the big guys like the Pistols, but also Toxic Reasons was on that first comp tape. So for me, my having festered and liked music, there were no musicians in my family, so I wasn't inclined to play an instrument. You know, I just was like, wow, this is cool. Yeah.
But obviously your mom supported that too, right?
Oh, yeah. I was raised by a single mother, but she was always supportive of whatever I was into.
That's
the one caveat being you're not late for school, so whatever you're into after school is fine. But if it makes you late for school, forget about it. And if you get down to a B, nope. We're going to have a discussion.
Done deal.
Wow.
Nice.
So, you know, I got to go see punk rock shows, which, you know, questionable. Was that a good parent move? Don't know. I never ended up in jail. I never stole anybody's stuff, so I think it's all right.
There you go.
But I think it just kind of all festered under the surface. So by the time the Clash came around, I'm already turned on to punk rock through Adam and the Ants and this comp tape that, you know, was given to me as sort of a Johnny Appleseeding in a way. Yeah. And I think at that point it kind of all just clicked. I'm like, especially because Toxic Reasons were on that tape. And, you know, I'm talking to friends who I met previous to that, and they're like, oh, yeah, I saw Toxics and blah, blah, blah. They were ahead of the game by a year and a half of me locally.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you kind of get this realization, this like light bulb moment where you're like, wait a minute, I really want to do these things. And, you know, having seen those two concerts that were like the big concerts of my life, they're in freaking arenas, right?
Yeah.
So your little kid brain doesn't naturally gravitate toward, wow, that's something that's achievable. I mean, unless you're like a stand in front of the mirror, 12-year-old Tweely guitar player kid, everybody wanted to be Randy Rhoads or whoever their guy was.
Yeah.
But that's not a realistic dream.
Right.
Millions of kids felt that way, but did they really think they could do it? Did they know anyone who had done
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Well, by the time I get turned on to punk rock and I see these bands, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, I know people. I can see that guy.
Yeah.
I met that guy.
Right.
And he's doing this.
Yeah.
And so that's why I sort of gravitated toward bands like Toxic Reasons. It was like, wow, okay, those guys are from here.
Yeah.
You know, and so by the time I got turned on to it, they were well established and had done some pretty amazing things in the early part of that band. And so I started meeting people who knew them directly and blah, blah, blah. And then you get turned in, you know, the Mitch Mitchells of the world, and you start meeting people at different venues or in bands or just going to see bands. And, you know, by that time I was just like, yeah, I can do this. You know, so I'm going to get a couple of buddies together and let's just figure something out. We don't know what the hell we're doing. Let's just do it.
Well, and that's kind of I mean, you mentioned Randy Rhoads, who, like, on a technical level, is on another level. The whole punk thing is you can get into it pretty quickly and start making some noise and be pretty rudimentary with your skills.
You can, and let's be honest, you can completely suck.
Yeah.
And you might sell millions of records and completely suck. And I'm not going to throw any Cass and Eastburg punk bands in the last couple of decades that may or may not be doing very well for themselves. I don't begrudge them that. But
Sure.
Get out of here. It's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out.
Not naming names.
No, but it was
fine. Yeah, that's good.
But on the other hand, yes, that spirit of punk rock is, man, if you, not to blow too much smoke up Toxic's ass, but Bruce Stuckey, a guitar player, singer in Toxic Reasons, said something to me years ago, 100 years ago by now. And he was like, you know, the only difference in punk rock, the only difference between the guy on the stage and the guy on the floor is the guy on the stage is on the stage. And you're like, exactly.
It's amazing.
I can, you know, at the time your brain isn't thinking like, oh, wow, thanks for the inspiration. Ooh, what a cool motivational little nugget for me to carry around for the rest of my life. But, you know, it festers in your brain and you're like, yeah, the only difference is this cat strapped a guitar on or grabbed a microphone or a pair of drumsticks and jumped up and did the thing. And the rest of us are here watching them do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next night it could be the opposite way.
And in many cases it was.
Yeah.
Early on especially.
Yeah.
What was your first band?
My first band was Haunting Souls.
Was it?
Yep.
Wow.
That band started in 1986. So pretty quickly after I got turned on to what was going on, and I fell into, at the time, you think of it as being forever. But you look back now, I mean, I saw the Clash in 84 and 86, I have a band.
Yeah.
Right. That's
You're still, I mean, you're just on the cusp of finishing high school at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm still in school.
Yeah.
So what, did you start on the guitar?
No, I didn't start playing guitar until, that's another story, but I just sang. You know,
You just
so
sang?
I wrote lyrics and sang, and the first guitar player in that band was Nate Farley, who would go on to be
Yeah.
illustrious in many ways,
Yeah.
but most notably his affiliation with Breeders Tammy / Amps, and of course GDV for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
He and he's younger than me. Turns out he still is. He was probably 14 when we met.
Wow.
And
Was that at school?
No.
No?
The cool thing about my tribe was that none of us went to the same school. And that's another thing I think doesn't, coming back to what we were talking about early on about, is this thing lost? Do people talk anymore?
Yeah.
People hang out in the same place physically. You know, my crew was like, we had some people went to Meadowdale, Chaminade Juliet, Trotwood, Vandalia, Northridge, you know, and we kind of all fell together either through lifestyle or going to see bands.
And this is all you just mentioned are all northern side of Dayton.
North and
Area,
northwest
suburbs.
area, right,
Yeah.
suburbs.
Yeah.
I mean, Centerville, you had the obvious back in those days.
Yeah.
So it was around. It's just my whole sphere of
Right.
influence was north and west.
It seems like as we talk to more people, like there was kind of a hotbed of musicians and people interested in music, which is probably where you came out of, fell into.
Yeah. Totally, absolutely. So, yeah, Nate was probably 14. We got together, a couple of buddies, and we were just like, hey, let's do this thing. And Joe Pursuti was the original drummer in the band, and he had already been playing or whatever. So we were like, oh yeah, Joe Pursuiti's the drummer. He's our age. He had an older brother who hung out with some of the older, couple of years older. You know, back then 2-3 years. They're like, man, that dude's old school. Man, he's been around forever. 16, 17 and a half. What are you talking about? But you know, when you're young, a summer feels like forever.
Oh yeah.
So that
definitely,
2-3
for
years,
sure.
is,
Yeah.
you know, forget it. Were you at Stonehenge? I mean, come on. You know? So yeah, it's just the three of us kind of put a band together and just decided to make some stuff up. And you know, it's funny, when I met Nate, we met him through a friend. He went to Meadowdale. I was a Northridge student at the time. Pursuti went to Trotwood. And a mutual friend, who was also a Meadowdale student, said, yeah, man, I know this guitar player. This guy shreds, man. You should check him out. His name is Nate Farley. So he introduces us to Nate, and Nate rolls in with a Dockin t-shirt on.
Oh, man.
You know, he's 14. He looks like me there at 10 with long, stringy hair, you know. And he comes in, and we just kind of look at her like, I'm going to give you a list of bands you need to check out. This is Toxic
Docket
Reasons.
didn't pass the test right away.
This is Black Flag. This is Toxic
Black
Reasons.
Flag.
Here's DOA. You know, here's Pistols. You know, kind of thing. It's really funny. And we just started making up some songs. And, you know, we were a band for probably a better part of a year before we even had a bass player.
Wow.
We just didn't kind of worry about that part.
Mm-hmm.
We were really serious about wanting to be very good at what we were doing before we played. We didn't do parties and like, oh, we're going to have a party till we thought we were ready. And that ended up being almost a year.
Wow.
So just drums and guitar then?
Drums, guitar, and singing. You know?
Wow.
I mean, no disrespect to bass players out there. Rock and roll is a primal beat.
Yeah.
Somebody smashing on something, making it rap.
Yeah.
Apparently, you have to have a melody thing, which I don't know. I've always written around percussion. Anybody who knows me definitely knows I'm not a melody guy. And then you've got somebody, you know, screaming some stuff
Yeah.
about whatever,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, you need a bass player.
Yeah. Fill out that rhythm section.
Right. So,
At some point.
so we fell into CJ Sexton, who was he lived in the warehouse space next to us at the time. We were living in Front Street warehouses by that time. Just sort of were like, yeah, man, do you know how to play bass? He's like, no. We're like, you should be the bass player. So I was like, cool. He was like, okay. And turns out his mother was in an all-female band in the 60s called the Bittersweets.
Oh, wow.
So it was bizarre that we were just like, we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
We were like, you should be our bass player. And he's like, really? And we're like, yeah. So Nate taught him some rudiments. And I think to this day, he still doesn't know what notes he's playing. And
It don't
he's
matter.
fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, We did a reunion, a 100-year reunion a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we got together and it was like, oh my God. Like, it's A. That one.
Yeah.
Next one down, wide open. A.
You'll find it.
Didn't know. Boom.
That's
Just jumped
hilarious.
right in. It was awesome.
I'm so jealous of people like that who just can play. Like they don't need to know
Me
or
too.
be bothered by it. You know, they
Me
just
too.
play.
That's awesome.
So you guys
So what was
practice
your first gig?
Yeah.
First gig was at a now defunct venue you were referencing.
Yeah.
Some of those. It was most recently called Jazz Central. It was called the Building Lounge at
Yeah.
the time. It was
Yeah.
on East 3rd Street.
Okay. So that's been a bunch of different
That
things.
was 87, yeah. Ken Gross was promoting shows there later. Chuck King was there before that promoting some shows. That's kind of where Ken cut his teeth. Ken
Okay.
was very responsible for a lot of what was happening in Dayton.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the early 90s, mid-90s.
We reached out to him, and hopefully we'll have him
Yeah,
on
he's
here soon,
perfect.
so,
You need to
yeah.
definitely talk with Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was responsible for booking several venues that evolved over the years, and really when Dayton was air quotes hopping in the
Yeah.
alternative rock and roll scene,
Well-
including punk rock and all things Brainiac and
Yeah.
GBV and all that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
in the 90s when it was.
When you were like, it sounds like so. Band started '86. Work out your thing for a year. Play that first show in '87, and that things had already been bubbling for the better part of the underground scene, the better part of a decade, I would guess.
For sure.
Toxic is doing their
Good Days,
thing.
Lovers, all that.
But there's another jump that's about to happen as you guys start playing. So
It's true.
Do you give us some stories about that first gig?
Well, ironically, that first gig was a benefit show for, God, I just lost House of Bread. Salem Avenue.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think they still operate.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
We billed the show Bread for Bread.
Oh, man.
And it was a benefit for those guys.
Dude, punk rock putting it on for people. It's great.
We had 4 bands on the bill, 4 bands on the really high quality 80s flyer I made for that gig.
Still have a copy of that.
Oh, I
somewhere?
got about 10,000 of them.
We got to get a picture of that.
It's obscene.
Dude, I love those old flyers. They're so great.
I thought it was clever. I did it on full sheet sticker paper.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to glue them. You just peeled the back off and stick it.
That's amazing.
You know, hot pink.
I have one of your flyers.
But there were 4 bands on that bill, and ironically, only 2 of us ended up playing. Toxic Reasons were one of them.
Wow.
I was on the bill. Dance Positive, which was an early Gary Thompson vehicle. Tim Taylor was in Dance Positive.
Oh, wow.
It was his first venture that I know of. A band called Mom, which was Dennis Schlichter, who was a whole nother world unto himself, and then Haunting Souls. Well, one of the bands bailed on the show. One of the bands broke up before the show, and that left Mom and Haunting Souls on that bill. So our first show, sold out room,
Wow.
and we had 6 songs. I know, it's like
my
you guys
God.
waited a fucking year to play.
6
You had 6 songs.
15 minutes of music, probably.
Well, the songs were long. I think I wrote a song less than 4.5 minutes long
Wow.
until like
Oh, wow.
2015. It's brutal. And, 95 verses because I'm solving all the world's problems and I'm
Yeah.
addressing every social issue.
Yeah.
I had a verse for every
course.
one of them. Come on.
Yeah.
They were novellas. It was ridiculous. So we had, 6 songs, but it was like damn near a 30-minute set.
there you go.
So to fill the gap, because there were only 2 bands on the bill, we played the set, took a break, and then played it in reverse.
Oh, wow.
man.
Just we didn't want people to feel like they got gypped. It was $5. That was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, it's still $5 to see punk bands. Pay rise, as the Brits would say.
There you go.
That show, tons of people in the room. The Building Lounge would be huge for a couple of years. It'd be instrumental in all kinds of bands in Dayton. Big bands, little bands, a lot of local bands, reggae bands, speed metal bands, punk rock bands, everything in between. And by the time Ken started doing stuff in there, and I'm blurry, Chuck King did a bunch of cool shit in there too, and their road promoters. But by that time, he was starting to bring nationals through. And the thing about that place is it was all ages ish.
Yeah.
Places like Canal Street were not.
Yeah.
So while Canal Street Tavern was already, Mick was taking a chance on punk rock. Mick opened in '81, and he was doing a lot of folk-centric stuff and a lot of bluegrass, all the bluegrass legends. Well, not all of them, but the majority of them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get in there because they weren't going to buy my RTA bus pass ID that got me in Columbus and Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati venues. They weren't having it. So places like Building Lounge or pop-ups like kids would do later, there was the Electricians Hall on East 2nd Street, Fugazi played there.
Yeah.
Among other bands. But to your point about there being hot spots, there were all these little DIY joints.
Yeah.
Basement shows, of course, were happening. House party shows were happening. But when you had places like that happening where you could go in, it's easy to foster a local scene when people could go out and you're in a bar. It's different if you're at a school dance or talent show or basement,
right.
You know what I mean?
Meet Me in the City, sponsored by Twisted River Coffee Roaster. Twisted River offers an unpretentious approach to specialty coffee. Visit twistedrivercoffee.com and use promo code INTHECITY at checkout to receive a one-time discount of 10% off your entire order.
This episode of Meet Me in the City has been recorded at B&G Cigar Lounge, your home away from home, located in West Carrollton, Ohio. You can find them at 319 West Central Avenue. They have an ample humidor, all of the supplies you can need for your cigar smoking pleasure. We hope that you will stop by and support them as they are supporting us on this journey.
So that original lineup happened through, with the slight changes here and there, but the original air quotes lineup kind of terminated in 1989 because in 1989 I got asked, to my own amazement, to sing for Toxic Reasons.
Oh, wow.
As their singer. Which is a long story, and we don't have 8 months for me to tell that whole story. It's a fun one. But they were getting ready to go back to Europe in 89. I believe the tour was going to kick off in October.
Were they still based in Dayton at that point?
At that time, they were in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they were in
They were Dayton, then they were San Francisco.
That's why I was going to ask if it was
Then
San
they were
Francisco.
Indianapolis.
Okay.
Right. So by that time, they asked me to, we were trying to weasel, I was doing my best to weasel to be the tour support for them in the States before they left for Europe. Because we'd been going to see that band and getting up on stage and stealing the mic.
So
and singing
you knew
along.
them.
We knew. We were acquaintances. We'd been going to see them every damn time we could.
Yeah.
Since the time I was about 15.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the guys in my tribe were older and had been seeing them since before then anyway.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, it was a big change in Haunting Souls. It was I was going to do both bands, but we were young, and you have that sort of, Four Musketeers kind of vibe when you're a young kid. Last Gang in Town, the Clash version of that, where you're the guys. And I don't mean to exclude the ladies, but you're the band, you're the gang. It's you against the world, and you're going to be that forever.
Right.
And in 1989, the reality was, well, maybe not forever, because now Jamie's going to go do this other thing, and now, people's ideas to do other stuff or boredom or whatever, kind of, at that point in time, the original lineup split. I was in Toxic Reasons for, turns out, a fairly brief amount of time. We parted ways before that tour, 2 weeks before that tour to be exact.
Oh.
Wow.
Which was a real knee breaker for me for multiple reasons, but because I've always been involved in politics. The fucking wall came down.
Oh, man.
While they were on tour, and so I'm watching this happen on the news, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
So, they were over there when that happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Jeez.
Yeah, that Mr. Gorbachev tear down the wall thing from Reagan happens. All that footage of people on the wall.
They tear down the wall and
Pickaxes.
Toxic Reasons is on the other side.
Well, they should have, of course, just blazing, right? So at that point in time, the original lineup split. Kind of everybody went their different ways, but I wasn't ready to retire to Jersey. So I would move forward in a long tradition of Pollard and GBV and other people in town where you just, you know, used to make jokes. If you haven't been in Haunting Souls or GBV, are you really a Dayton musician? You know, because I think between the two bands, there must have been 150 people.
Oh, yeah.
Alarm
for a 10,
teams.
15, 20-year period.
Yeah.
I mean, Haunting Souls only lasted really 10 years, and I went through a lot of different variations of the band. But, you know, fun fact, the next version of the band, so that's when I started playing guitar. You asked about
Okay.
playing instruments. When Nate, who wrote all the music in the band, when Nate and I parted ways and he went on to do his own thing, which would soon become a band called The Method, which was a big deal, movers and shakers in town, you know. I didn't have anybody I could hum a thing to or do a thing, so I just was like, okay. So I bought an SG and a Marshall, and I was like, between the Dead Boys and the Ramones, I think I can sort it out. And I just sort of figured it out, you know. Tim Taylor and I were roommates soon after that. He showed me a couple of chords, but, you know, you play a 5 chord, you play a power chord, and off you go.
Yep.
There it is.
At that point in time, the very next version of Haunting Souls is 2 youngsters who would kind of make a little splash for themselves in 2 different ways. A little guy named John Schmerzel and a not so little guy named Jeremy Frederick.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Frederick was the drummer,
Really?
and John Schmerzel was the bass player. And at that point in time, they already had Sunken Giraffe, and Schmerzel was the singer. That was the high school band. Schmerzel was the singer of the band, and of course Jeremy was the guitar player. I don't even remember why I asked Jeremy to play drums. I don't know if he just, oh yeah, I can play drums, if it was a bunch of bullshit. Don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that was the next version of the band, with me writing music for the first time and playing guitar for the first time. And I'll never forget, Schmerzel shows up with a fretless P bass or a jazz bass. I'm like, what the fuck are you? What? Fretless?
You've never seen a fretless bass in a
We're not
folk show.
kids.
What are you doing? It turns out it was a blast.
Yeah.
So that was the next version of the band. You know, so right there, automatically we're getting crossover to
Yeah.
the next generation, which was cool, and it just happened.
So what year was that?
89.
89. So, I mean, did you actually end up going out and playing any shows with Toxic Reasons? Or were
Yeah.
You, okay.
Yeah, I did a few regional shows.
Okay.
Probably for me, the big moment in the sun was playing at Cubby Bears in Chicago across from Wrigley Field with GBH.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Fucking huge for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That beats in every fucking song. It's great. Come on.
Yeah.
And I point of pride for me, I remember having bigger hair than Jock and Colin at that show.
Wow. Nice.
And my 14-inch Liberty Spike Mohawk going, and I was really feeling myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you were all of what, maybe 20 at that
I was
point?
20.
Yeah. Jeez.
That was a blast.
So when Haunting Souls kind of broke up then before that, is that true? Or just kind of split for a while?
Well, the assumption would be
original
in
members.
89. Yeah, the assumption would be that we would, I mean, Joe Pursuti did leave and come back, and we had Jason Hines on drums. But it was always me and CJ and Nate. And then Joe came back into the fold after a year before that split. And then the Toxic Reasons was sort of the demarcation line. I think they were like, well, this sucks, you know. And they splintered off into their own stuff. At that time, I think we just assumed it would be the end of the band, but, you know, people have busted my chops for years, like, well, you couldn't fucking quit because you had it tattooed on your chest. It was like, yeah, that's true, but come on. I mean, I just didn't want to hang it up, and so I was motivated by bands that I was interested in. It seemed like they went on forever.
Yeah.
You know, band lineups change or whatever. I mean, with the exception of Van Halen, get the fuck out of here, Sam Hagar. Come on. You know what I mean?
I'm with you on that.
But you know, bands are bands, and it evolves and it goes on. And I wasn't going to hang up Haunting Souls.
Yeah.
In hindsight, maybe it should have been another band name, you know, because it was started changing.
I don't know.
You're the
stylistically over
singer
the
and
years,
songwriter.
but it wasn't, and you know, I kept it going. So
Yeah.
that was the first iteration, and we just kind of rolled through a few more lineups. After
Did
that.
you see Toxic Reasons, like when you joined, when they asked you? I'm sure that was like, wow, it's an honor, right? Like
It was an honor, and it was a fucking shocked because the truth of the matter is, I'd been going over to talk with Tufty a lot. He was the businessman in the band, and trying to get us in, as a tour support. So I'll never forget, Haunting Souls were in my basement, rehearsing, waiting for a phone call, and my roommate, Chris Heckman at the time, flips. That was the code. If the phone rang, you'd flip the basement light on, and all said, "Shut up." And he goes, "It's Tufty." Oh shit!
You're thinking you're getting the call.
Here's me and Haunting Souls sitting around my dining room table, much like we're sitting here right now, Joe.
I can anticipate what's about to happen.
And I'm on the phone. Which I had painted 1957 Chevy blue, hanging on the wall. And I'm on the phone, and I'm like, yeah. And everybody's like, ooh, cool. We're gonna get right, exactly. Yeah. And Tufty's like, hey, we want you to be the singer, in his Liverpudlian accent, which I will not try. We want you to be the singer for Toxic Reasons. And I'm just looking at my gang, my guys, the other 3 dudes who are going to fucking take on the world with me forever because we're that age.
Yeah.
And I was just crestfallen. And I was like, wow. And I was quiet for so long, Tufty gets chapped. And he's like, on the other end.
Do you understand what I'm asking you?
Totally. He's like, did you hear me? Kind of a thing. And I'm like, and that look on my face must have telegraphed to the guys. They knew something was hinky.
Yeah.
Right. And they're just like, I remember CJ was the first one I looked at that looked like he got what was happening. And then just the other 2 faces, went down. And I was like, I'm going to have to call you back. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I got to call you right back. And so I hung up the phone, as I recall, and I just was like, it was like, on the one hand, it was like, holy shit, these guys are my heroes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm elated. On the other hand, and more importantly, I was like, fuck, we didn't get the gig.
Right.
I got the gig. We didn't get the gig. Yeah. And that sucked.
Yeah.
And so it just chatted with the guys, and it was like, you got to do it, and I was like, I got to do it.
They said that to you?
They did.
Yeah.
Varying degrees of really believing it.
Yeah.
But deep down, I think, what are you, stupid? Of course you got to do it.
Right.
And the original thing was that I could have both bands, and I'd just be gone and then come back, and, I was going to be able to put out a record with the one I was going to make on that tour. So it was a win-win in my mind, but, I wasn't the guy getting left behind.
Right.
So, I briefly moved to Indianapolis for a hot second, so then called him back, and then he was like, I could tell he was lying. This kid is. I'm significantly younger than them.
Right.
And we talked, and I, apologized. Hey, my guys were literally sitting there waiting for hey, are we doing the tour? And I'm going to go, oh no, fuck you, I'm doing the tour. You know what I mean? That wasn't going to fly like that. So, and it was, it was what it was.
Well, contextually, I think that, within, super focused punk scenes, I think people are aware of Toxic Reasons. I think people who are aware of the Dayton scene know them. But for you to get a call at 20 years old, try and scale that for us on what that would mean to get that call to front that band on a European tour.
To circle back to an earlier comment.
Yeah.
To me, that probably was every fucking 13-year-old kid who's standing in his mirror in his bedroom blasting Randy Rhoads and going, I'm going to be the next Randy Rhoads. It couldn't have been a bigger deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm going to Europe?
Right.
Come on.
Dayton to Europe with Toxic Reasons.
I'm a history freak already at that point, I'm very into social issues and geopolitics to a certain level,
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was a mind-blowing moment.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. And it was immediately, and ironically, it was like, this is like a weekday. And I remember it was like, yeah, we're going to rehearse Friday. I took a Greyhound over to Indianapolis. As I recall, on a Thursday, I go to Stucky's house. I'm staying there. We had a gig Sunday or Monday at the patio in Indianapolis.
Punk rock, baby. Let's go.
And it was like, well, the thing was, they had just recorded a new album.
Oh my
Which,
God.
right,
I was going to ask, like,
they had
you
just
probably knew all the
recorded an album, which I
material.
had never heard.
Oh,
So, you just record an album. Of course, you're going to feature the songs on that album
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then pepper in the hits from the previous records. So it was like, talk about trial by fire, which is really the only way you do anything.
yeah.
But I'm fucking losing my mind. I'm on
Yeah.
that Greyhound. It felt like it took 18 years.
I
I'm like,
bet.
oh my God, what am I going to do? And and bizarrely enough, at that point in time, it was a weird version of Toxic Reasons because the rhythm section was the rhythm section from the Zero Boys. So I had Mark Cutsinger on drums and Tough G on bass. They were both the rhythm section for Zero Boys, the original Zero Boys, and Cutsinger's still in the band to this day. So I'm getting the best of both worlds. I'm
Yeah.
in Toxic Reasons, but it's half the band is Zero Boys. I'm like, this is fucking what?
Yeah.
Come on. It was mind blowing.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I'm sure that first show was, I crammed in about 6 or 7 of the new ones, which were stylistically far different than the stuff that I was familiar with.
Yeah.
Right.
And off to the races.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
All right, back then to Haunting Souls and the second iteration of the band. What's it look like as you guys are kind of getting going? Are you recording? You just playing shows out?
Well, yeah, the beginning, the first lineup, we played a lot regionally. We got out there. That first version of the band, we did a Bogart show, which was kind of a big deal for us at
Sure,
that point. We were
yeah.
playing small clubs, Kent and Cleveland and Richmond, Indiana. And
I mean, so you guys are getting out
Indianapolis,
there. I mean, you're
Pittsburgh.
going.
Yeah, we were.
And I guess that's the nice thing about like the punk scene, even the underground punk scene. There were pockets of places around that were fostering those communities.
Totally.
You just had to find them.
Totally.
Which
and
was-
once you did,
Yeah.
there was a network.
Yeah.
And before we were on air, I was mentioning the Trash Brats from Detroit back in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Those guys were what would be considered a glam band back then. Again, I said they unfairly got thrown in with like Poison or whatever, but they were far more like the Dolls and Hanoi Rocks than they were that. But
Yeah.
people just didn't know who those bands were.
Right.
So here's guys wearing dresses and tawdry looking makeup, and say we're glam. But by that time, even I'm meeting guys like that, and there was a network.
Yeah.
People passed that stuff on. You were talking about the days of you're still sending cassette tapes to people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're making phone calls to
Yeah.
watch shows. You're even sending letters by the U.S.
Yeah.
Postal Service
Oh, yeah.
about getting a gig. Hey,
Yeah.
this guy. And so it got to the point where, like, pretty quickly, you were like, Cleveland, oh, here, get a hold of this guy. Pittsburgh, here's your guy. Indianapolis, Carbondale, here's your guy. Detroit, here's your guy. Kansas City, here's your guy. And it's no different than now. Now it's digitized and it's a one click away and boom, you're there. But it really was the DIY thing at that point in time was fast spreading.
Yeah.
And people definitely shared. It wasn't like people would hold back. They go, I'm not going to give you my contact, because it wasn't like there was a competition issue.
Yeah.
It was like the more the merrier.
Yeah.
And then you became the guy,
Yeah.
right? So somebody gives me the name of the guy in Cleveland or Detroit or Indianapolis. Well, now I'm going to be your guy in Dayton.
Yeah.
And you did that. You honored that thing. And it might have been a thrash band or a punk band or somebody that was more
Adjacent.
REM-ish or whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Absolutely, here's the guy. I don't know if you can play with us, but here's the guy you want to get a hold of. This is the club or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll vouch for you. So to speak.
It's all about sharing shows and stuff too,
100%.
right? I mean, that's how you got your foot in the door in Pittsburgh, in Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
I miss those times. I really do.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. We were like, does that really happen anymore? I think it does, because I see, like, what Gwen's doing at the record store over there
Right.
is the same exact thing that was happening back then.
Mm-hmm.
Little small room, bringing people in.
At Blind Ridge.
Yeah, Blind Ridge.
Bringing nationals in. All these young bands are playing gigs, and they're playing their first gig and they're playing maybe their 10th gig, and they're
Right.
spreading the word to,
Yeah.
to their peer group. And they're going to other venues as well. I don't mean to leave everybody else out, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's an
Yeah.
example of that real DIY thing
Yeah.
that's continuing or picked back up where it got left
But
off.
also, as you talked to earlier too, that at Blind Rage gives all ages.
Absolutely.
Anybody can come in there. See, oh, we went to a show there, and
Talking Blind Rage Records, which is in Dayton, Ohio, off
Yeah.
of Waterville Elite. Relatively newer store.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around for several years
3
at this
years,
point.
4
But
years
yeah.
maybe fully packed, maybe 25, 30
Yeah.
people.
Oh.
But but it's great because you can go in and see these bands. I mean, that was we saw a touring band out of Nashville, and it was awesome, and I'm 54 years old, I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's great.
Well, it harkens back to that stuff that I was weaned on, too.
Sure.
And in that, it would be churches, it would be hall rentals, in every
a lot
little,
of that stuff.
every little suburban area, Beaver Creek had
Grange Halls.
Right.
Yep.
Knights of Columbus.
And, Electricians Hall, the Druids Club, all those kind of things. Croatian situation out there in Old North Dayton. All those things happen would open up their doors. Basement shows and all that stuff too. But like, when you were going to an actual place, when there's actual humans and money's changing hands, you might get some at the end of the night. You know what I mean?
Money, that is.
Money. Relatively cheap. For sure. And that thing still happens. Honestly, more so, it kind of came back around again because it got to a point where, not to jump ahead too far, but by mid-90s, every city, I don't want to beat grunge up, but I'm going to for a minute.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's near and dear to my heart, but
the way I summarize, and it's not a personal thing about the music, although a lot of it I don't have much time for, but the point is, that came out of its own DIY.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You can't bust chops about it.
Yeah.
Those people all support everybody, and the clubs and the bands, and, they
Same
all
kind of thing.
probably shot dope out of the same spoon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good work, guys.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you?
Not well.
Not so much. But by that time, there's clubs after clubs after clubs. You got to a point where when the 90s hit, when the magazines are starting to focus on smaller cities, Dayton being one of them,
we've
got
talked
focus,
about that.
national focus. It wasn't just here. It was a lot of places in the country, but, and I'm not ignoring like New York City. New York City's always been New York City. New York City will always be New York City. LA will always be LA.
For sure.
Seattle, Portland, that whole thing will probably always be its own baby, too. And, of course, you had the Naked Ray Gun here in Chicago, all that stuff. Of course. But you get to a point where musicians were a subculture of the mainstream. And I'm not talking about like guys playing cover bands or whatever. That was different. You had your McGuffies. Every town had its McGuffies where you go play 3 sets a night. You play covers, arguably make way more money.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. You could actually be a working musician to do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you get to open for the band on their way up or the band on their way down, whichever version of rock and roll you're into. But it got to the point by the time the grunge thing really hit, in my opinion, you had more producers, meaning people who generated music, than you did consumers, meaning audience members of music. Because if you think back to, because we're around the same age, when it's an alternative lifestyle and it's DIY bands, punk bands, alternative bands, college rock bands, all these kind of bands, whatever, the alternative lifestyle rock and roll, to put a generic term on it, was a small subset of society. By the time you get to the mid-90s and the grunge thing is taken over and blowing people's mind, like, what? Where did this music come from? And it's on AOR radio and it's blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's, my brother's got a band. My sister's got a band. My sister's ex-husband's boyfriend's third cousin has a band. Everybody's in fucking band.
Yeah.
And so when you get to a point where the producers outnumber the consumers, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while all these people are starting to play in bands, your brother, your uncle, your cousin, your grandma, guys are going, ooh, I'm going to open this venue. This looks lucrative.
Yeah.
So all venues start popping up.
Yeah.
So then you get the problem of too many bands, too many venues.
Yep.
Nobody's going.
Waters it down.
Think about it. Band members kind of try to pull that, yo, man, I'm not paying. I'm in this band.
Right.
Come on, man. Pay a fucking cover.
Exactly.
Come on. It's
Yeah.
$5.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $5 to see the Stooges in the 60s. It's $5 to go see whoever right now in any bar USA. Okay, granted, we finally got it raised to $10 in a lot of places, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Come on, dude. You're spending more than that for a can of Trotwood.
Trotwood.
We hear about it,
Yeah.
But I digress. You get to that point where, it became very formulaic.
Yeah.
Hey, my brother's got a band, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're in a band? Oh, cool. Never heard of you. Blah. You should play with my brother's band. You're like, Jesus Christ, dude. We don't have anything in common. No, we're not playing with your brother's band. All these guys start open venues or bars who are just bars start doing bands. They're green. The club owners don't know anything about bands. They get schnooked.
Yep.
The big band in town comes in and go, yeah, we want $500. I'm like, oh, okay. That must be how it works. Okay, I'll guarantee you $500. These bands that can't draw flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anymore. And it just eats itself. Everybody's in a band, so everybody's trying to be the sweet band and they're cashing in and lying to the bar owner, and they stop trying. They don't make flyers anymore because they don't have to. They're playing once a week in the Oregon district. They're playing up and down the strip, and every bar is new to having bands, and so they're promising them money. And the guys aren't trying very hard because they don't want to blow their, well, I don't want to advertise this show because we're playing next week at this venue, and we want people to come to that one. So therefore, the club owners are losing money because nobody's come to see it because they're too spread out. And boom, 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 the wheel comes around and it just eats itself. You know, it's like
supply and demand is really
it's basic 101, man.
Right.
And it gets to the point where it just blows up and then it just blows out.
Yeah. And this is really the area you're talking about is, I mean, the internet's not even really affecting anything at this point.
No,
It's,
pre MySpace.
Yeah.
And MySpace MySpace took the place of that little notebook we all used to have, like, Indianapolis, Detroit, blah, 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 call this band, meet this band. You know, MySpace kind of came in and was like, oh, wow, I can reach out to this person this way, and we can talk, air quotes, today.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus sending a letter or making a phone call. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The other cool thing about that era is you're trading shows that I think is lost, and I don't want to look back on it. You guys can throw your thoughts out on this as well. I don't want to look back at it with pure nostalgia or in this like romantic sort of thing, because
which is easy to do.
It's easy to do because if you're in the midst of it and trying to get shows and get people to show up and you're really busting it, it's not easy to do.
No.
But man, there is also something really cool about showing up to a show, having no clue the other band's on the bill, and discovering something you've never heard before, and having your mind blown.
Absolutely.
So hard to do today.
Absolutely.
Oh,
for a multitude
100%.
of reasons.
Yeah.
And again, not to wear the rose-colored glasses because honestly, that didn't happen every gig.
For sure.
But you had a whole lot of reasons, overlapping reasons why that happened more often. For one thing, you had less bands.
Yeah.
Okay. So
because it was
while
hard.
punk rock would allow you to completely suck, and maybe for your whole career, and like I said earlier, you can still sell millions of records.
Yeah.
Talent. People who are, in the classic punk v metal argument of the 80s, metal guys are like, you got to be Pac-Man, gobble up all the dots on the fretboard. Or you got to just completely suck and be, Sid Vicious. You know what I mean? Those are your two generic polar opposites.
I did not have Pac-Man on the bingo card for the day.
I have never. That is so funny.
That was great.
Those are your two classic people who are hardly biased to one or the other.
Right.
Like, oh, punk rock sucks. You guys can't even play your instruments. Punk rock guys going, who cares how many fucking notes you're playing?
Right.
Write a song. It's interesting.
There you go.
That's bullshit you're putting on. I don't care. Whatever. Right? It's all ego and hairspray versus, which weirdly enough, and then you got the combination of the two, which...
There you go.
Thank you,
some
Heartbreakers.
intersections on the Venn diagram.
Thank you, Heartbreakers. Thank you, Heartbreakers and Dolls and Dead Boys for kind of blending the two. But again, I digress. At that point in time, because you've got less bands, you kind of had to, if you were going to get a second gig, with the exceptions of the house parties and stuff, you kind of had to have people's interest.
Yeah.
And so you kind of, even if you're preaching to the choir and you're playing total, just terribly out of tune, can't write a song, and people are just like, oh my God, it's a high school party. It didn't matter. But you kind of had to be able to play your instruments. Yeah. And there was a pecking order. You know, like you play house parties, you get a little bit better. Somebody like Mick Montgomery gives you a Wednesday. Right. Or you go play the Building Lounge and you open for someone. And the core of the rules sort of weren't oppressive. They made sense. Again, it's business 101. The little guy is supported by the big guy, and then the little guy works his way up and becomes the big guy, and he supports the little guy, and everybody just keeps on. It propagates itself. Right. That's how it used to work, and it probably still doesn't. Again, not with the rose-colored glasses and nostalgia, but because it was that sort of a dynamic, you did get the opportunity to go, I don't know, I'm just going to go to the show because this one band I know is playing, and they're good at what they do. So why would these other bands suck? Right. And you go. And
someone invited them to be here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's another one thing I loved about Canal is that Mick didn't really seem to care that the genres went together or not. If the bands,
didn't.
And so
at many points.
So you could see a hard rock, you could see a punk rock, you could see an acoustic, And all in one night, again, for $5, you go, you know, you don't know who you might know one band on that bill, but yeah, that's how you can discover that stuff. Absolutely. And that was amazing.
So when did it come into play when you started working at Canal? Because you were the
I started
manager.
there in 89, I believe.
89?
Wow. Yeah,
Jeez, dude, you were like literally at the epicenter of all this stuff.
Yes, especially
at that point.
I think it was 89. Yeah, I wasn't of legal drinking age.
Yep.
You know, and I worked the door for the first couple of years.
Yes.
I was there.
I remember.
You know, I took a chance there. I mean, at that point in time, I was embarrassingly into cycling shorts, those lycra knee-length.
Oh, dude, I
shorts.
remember that now.
I'm admitting it on air right now
That's
because I have a
amazing.
couple of hard, fast rules in my bands: no shorts and no fucking ball caps. You know, that's just my thing.
I'm with you
I
on
broke
that.
that rule early on. But, you know, Mick hires me. I'm a mohawk having, eyeliner wearing, combat boot and shorts.
Man.
A little foreshadowing of Steven and Mystery Addicts years to come.
Yeah.
And working the door for like Red Allen shows. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So these people walk in and these are
Like bluegrass
yeah.
bluegrass
100%
shows.
blue blood bluegrass people. And they walk
Overalls.
in and see me.
Yeah.
You ever have everybody just walk away? They're like, oh, I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah, oh, yeah. They turn around. Yeah, no, and then they realize
Like,
that
oh, no.
the people are coming in like, okay, I've been here before. Who's that girl at the door? You know what I mean? Can't blame them, you know. And so Mick took chances.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yeah, it was pretty sure it was 89. Katie Doherty will check me up on that. I think
Oh,
she
wow,
started
Katie,
in
I
88.
forgot
Yeah.
about her.
I think she started in 88 and I started in 89. Maybe I'm misremembering now. We started 1 month apart, but we're a year apart in age. Maybe it was a month apart starting. But anyway, yeah, oddly enough, I don't think I was able to pay and get in that joint to see bands. And I was,
You're
Was
working
it,
the
was it
door.
18 and up at that point?
well, I kept missing it. You know, Ohio was 18, and then I went to 19, and then I went to 21. Because of where my birthday fell, I kept missing it.
Okay.
So I was
man.
like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
That's,
I've been going to bars and drinking beers in different states for 12 years now. What do you mean I can't
Yeah.
Didn't they have certain nights though, Canal Street, that were more like there was, but it was always
I
drinking
don't know.
age
We
and up?
played.
I swear, it was
Early on, you couldn't.
Yeah,
Like, I remember thinking I was going to get in the door because Skip Krantz was the door guy back then. You know, rockabilly, infamous rockabilly dude from Dayton who's since passed on. But he was at the door, and he was pretty famous for falling asleep at the door. And I remember going in one time. I think Toxics were playing, or some Alejandro Escovedo vehicle, or Wire Train maybe, or I don't
Wire
know.
Train?
Maybe. I because I'd been going to Jilly's, the original Jilly's
Yeah.
before that. You know, Rev Cool was doing shows there. Back reggae shows, punk rock shows, alt country, that hybrid, anything Escovedo related, where it's punk rock but it's meeting Americana.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
thing
yeah.
hadn't really hit hard, and you know the Blasters were a big example. Somebody like X had their moments of crossing over, but you know that was all West Coast stuff.
Right.
You know, we didn't, that Texas and Dayton influence thing didn't really merge till, you know, 80s.
yeah.
And so that's kind of where I first started going to see shows. You know, I mean, there was a very forgiving doorman working, and you could get in as a young pup
Nice.
a couple of different ways, but you know, you get in and just shut up and sit down and check out the music. You know,
Yeah, we played. We were in a Christian rock band, our first band together, and we played the band playoffs. And I had to sit up in the peanut gallery road because I was 17 years old.
when we first did the playoffs, I think my mother had to come.
Yeah.
Well, Nate's dad was there because you know he's younger than me, and I think Pursuity's. But you know, we all went through that same period of, and that's funny because that lasted the whole time. I left. God, I'd like to say, I retired Canal Street in 2000.
Did you?
2000.
So
Wow.
I know it seems like yesterday, and yet it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And even all the way through till my last days there were still kids whose parents were there. And some of those bands won the playoffs.
And you've
Little bit
the
of
first time you
bizarre
play there, you feel like you've made it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
And that was the cool thing. You're getting to play. Mick Montgomery gave people an opportunity. Many people's first gig ever.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
On a real stage.
Yeah.
They were sharing a stage that John Sebastian or Los Lobos or Arlo Guthrie or
Yeah.
Donovan had played on. You know what I mean? pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I miss that room. I really do.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And I remember, so I had a friend, Shawn McCorkle, and this is back when you were at Butler, in high school.
Okay.
And so I knew about you before I met you. Because you were he's like, I saw Jamy Holliday at high school today. He went to Butler and saw you. And, you're punk rock, and I think you have Metallica.
Stood out. Yeah, we were into Metallica big time.
Yeah.
The first 2 rounds.
And I'm like, you saw Jamy Holliday. We were like talking about you, and you were like this myth to us, right? Because we never saw Haunting Souls.
Well, ironically, most people didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, whatever, these silly teeth of mine and my loud mouth, people kind of remember me, whatever. But a lot of the people that recognize me just from being around, it's later. Nobody ever saw Haunting Souls anyway. It's funny, the more people, as time goes on, you get older, and you're like, I never really saw Haunting Souls, but I know who you are. It's like, and that's nice, and I appreciate that. That's flattering and all, but it's also like, come on. It's just the fucking teeth.
And you were at Canal, you were the bar manager.
I ended up, I kind of worked my way from the door guy to the Tuesday night musicians co-op sound guy. That was sort of the trial. That was how you worked your way up at Canal Street back in the old days. Like, if you were going to be the sound guy, you started on Tuesdays. And, you got to appreciate the concept of the musicians co-op. And it was an incredible thing to have happened. But let's call a spade a spade. There were some painful sets.
Of course.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It's part of the charm and all that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Out of 10 sets a night, they can't all be winners. No. And I've played many terrible sets in my life, so I do not throw a stone.
Yeah,
Dude,
of course.
so Johnson and I were in there, sitting at the bar. We've been friends since I was 13 years old. You were behind the bar, and you were like, you guys need to shut the hell up. People are trying to play. And I was like, oh, sorry, Jamie.
Well,
but you were the guy.
That was mixed rules.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, and it was awesome. But you were the guy. You were, better or worse, you were Canal Street to so many of us. And you were so nice to the bands. Every time when you were running sound, you seemed like you cared for everybody. And to me, that's what the Dayton scene was about. And you were the personification of what that was in Dayton.
Well, that's what I was getting at. It's
not
like,
believe that for a minute.
so if people, if you see Jamy Holliday back, you're talking about working the door with a mohawk and biker shorts and combat boots.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude is intimidating. Like, just looking at you,
I get that. I hear that.
But then I meet you, like later on in the 90s, you're working the bar and, we're playing shows there. You are the nicest guy, man.
Well,
it's
that's
like,
funny.
you are so nice. And I remember seeing you throw somebody out of there. And you're a skinny
a lot
guy.
Of people remember seeing me throw somebody out of there.
But that was the deal, though. Like, you didn't fool around in that room. No. Like, you were there for the music, or that's it, or you get out.
My thing was, to interrupt you, but my thing was this. That was Mick's baby.
Yeah.
Mick was in a very small number of humans who created a listening room based on shit he had been inspired by.
Yeah.
Even before he went to the Hate in the late 60s. That whole lifestyle, that boheme turn through the hippie mill, all the way through all that stuff. There were very few clubs like Canal Street Tavern, and not that I wax nostalgia about it, but I mean,
it's true.
It's true.
It was a big deal. It was easy to lambast or lampoon that venue if you didn't get to play in it, and all those people were like, oh, Canal Street was a treehouse mentality. You guys fucking, if you weren't cool at Canal Street, nobody like it. A lot of belly and that's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
Mick's jam was he wanted a listening room. So as his employee and then as his manager, even when I was the door guy, the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for a guy being at the Anarchist Gathering in 1980, 88, 87 in Minneapolis, I'm kind of a rule guy. And it's his joint, it's his rules. You're here to listen to music, so be respectful of the bands, whether you like them or hate them. And so I don't know that reflects so much on me so much as I think it reflected on what Mick had created. I guess chicken or the egg. People that worked for Canal Street worked there because they already shared that mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
Or people that
Or
went
they-
to Canal Street
yeah.
they just inherited that through me. Probably both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know which example I am, but I will say that, there are to this day people who are just like, oh my God, you were so scary behind the bar. Oh my God. And then there's you're like, my thing is this, and I'm still the same way with bands. Like, look, man, you're in a band. It sucks. You know, it's hard. You're going to spend a bunch of money you don't really have.
Yep.
People are going to talk over you. This is an opportunity for people to at least pay attention. It's like, come on, really. If you can't pay attention for 30 minutes to a band that you think isn't great, you can bellyache about them in the bathroom.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
On the drive home.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to bust their chops right now.
Right.
I mean, just have a little bit of decorum.
Yeah.
You can bust their ass on a podcast
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Wait 25 years and you can talk about how terrible they were. Whatever. But you don't have to do it right then and there.
Well, like
But-
you said before, there's not a big difference. They have the balls to get up there,
Or luck.
whether it's
or
good
whatever.
or bad, to
Right.
do it, and you're out here judging someone
Exactly.
for getting on stage.
Exactly.
And I might not agree or like it, but I'm not going to badmouth them. It's like they're up there giving it what they got, right?
Absolutely, and that goes back to that same ethos that made me want to play music, and that same ethos that I think still carries through people who do alternative music and lifestyle choices or whatever. That same thing of like, you know, there's all kinds of religions out there, and a couple of them are pretty famous religions, and they kind of preach that same kind of a thing, you know. So this isn't like a wild concept.
Right.
There are millions and millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people who believe in similar concepts under the guise of religious teachings. So this shouldn't be hard.
Right.
You know, it's a concept
Right.
that's pretty easy to grasp.
Right.
You just boil it down to a real simple thing, you know. The modern version of this, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Right.
That's the easy version.
Right.
Pre-
But
pretty
back
good.
then, the golden rule concept
Yeah.
always applied. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so that was the Canal Street concept. Mind you, it is easier to say when you're younger. Back to the rose-colored glasses thing. I'm not gonna lie. By the time you get through the '90s and you start seeing, and again, not to put another nail in the coffin of grunge, but it became easier at that time because you had so much formulaic copycat stuff that it becomes a little more straining, perhaps,
Yep.
to go to a venue and be like, oh, this band. Like, did I see this band yesterday? Blink 180, the modern version, Blink 189, Blink 192. I mean, it's just like, not to bust their chops, but when a thing gets so big, this isn't new. In
Yeah.
the 50s, everybody was going to, here's the formula. In the
Yeah.
60s, here's the formula. 70s, 80s, 90s. There's always the formula.
Yeah.
But on a smaller level, and when you're in it, it becomes tedious, of course, to anyone. You're like, oh, man, do something different.
Yeah.
You know, what are you doing? That's when it's easy to become slightly jaded or whatever. And if you're a musician for a long period of time, it's easy to get like, Jesus Christ, I've been having people busting my chops. Are you serious? I can't even get a pizza. I got 300 people in your club buying beers, and you can't
Right.
break off a $10 bill for a pizza.
Right,
Come
exactly.
on. It's after a long period of time. No matter what your vocation, you can get a little chapped about it.
Yeah.
But you're well served in hindsight to kind of come back because, again, I've been playing music for a very long time. I have been low on the success ladder. Still been in underground bands, will possibly be in underground bands for the rest of my life to varying degrees. And I've gotten to play lots of places in this country and others, and will continue to do so. Point is, at a certain point, no matter what band you're in, if it's an underground band of any kind, that band will end, and you will be in another band.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you get to rung 4 on a 10-rung ladder with band A. Band B might never get past 1.
Right.
So you're going to do that again. So when you're on rung 4 and you're busting chops about the guys on rung 1, careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Because next month you might be in a band on rung 1.
Yeah.
And do you really want that guy 3 rungs ahead of you looking down at you
Yeah.
and busting
Right.
your chops?
It's true.
He doesn't care where you've toured.
Right.
He doesn't care.
care who you
did
are.
this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a rat's ass. It
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is what you're doing. What flag are you waving right now? That's what people see.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
I've
I've been bitten by that.
I've just got.
It happens.
As I get older, I have opinions about music and thoughts. We all do, but I'm less likely to share them or bust anybody's chops about what kind of music they're into or what they like. Because almost anything, even like the formulaic stuff, can be a window or a gateway into something deeper and different. And you end up going backwards. It's happened for me. So I just think, I mean, if you're into music and you're into it bad, and you end up getting into it bad enough that you want to play and sing, man, more power to you.
Right.
And figure it out. Like your thing may not be my thing. It's okay. There's a bunch of stuff out there for a bunch of different people.
Well, what I think I like is, even more so these bands or artists putting out songs with a sample of a band, and then people are finding out, oh, this is where this is from. And that song is so much better than this crap song that's out right now, But that's how I think people are finding some of this older music
or covers.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
covers,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I have to tell you, Jamie, when you, as the Luxury Pushers, played Dayton Music Fest at the Oregon Express, that was probably the best, and this is the only time you hear me cuss, probably the best fucking show I've ever seen.
Wow.
You were walking on the tables. You were living the lifestyle, and
Was
it
that
was
the first
amazing.
year?
I don't think it was the
No.
first year.
First year was at
Yeah.
Night Out.
Yeah, you were.
You guys
It was
were right out
OE, and it was just amazing. I didn't get to see a lot of bands because I was running around trying to make sure everyone was doing what they needed to be doing. I walked into the OE, and you were on stage, and man, it was just amazing.
What year was that?
It had to
It
be.
was 06 or 07
Yeah, 06
probably.
or 07.
05 was the
I was
first
afraid
year.
you were going to say something like 09 because,
Oh.
man, there was a particular show that I recall that was disastrous.
I did find this.
But I'm sure it was quite entertaining. You were showing me.
It's a Luxury Pushers handbill. It's only like this big, from 2009, I think. it
Well,
was.
this is somebody else handbill.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, we're special guests on this. We're the
Oh,
open
nice. Oh yeah,
Sideshow.
album release.
sideshow.
Man.
That's
Huh.
from 2005. Oh yeah, so that's a year into. I don't remember that.
I
That's
think
cool.
I'm just trying to get my own sort of memories. I thought the first time that I really remembered seeing you or being aware of you, because I didn't start playing music till like 05 in the Dayton area, but I was going to Canal Street, going to shows. I had to have come across you at Canal Street as I was coming in, but didn't realize it was you. I remember I'm pretty sure it was that pre-party we had that first year
Oh,
at
yeah.
Elbows.
Mm-hmm.
You guys walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh, who are these guys? I'm like, did I miss like someone on the bill? Because these dudes are walking in like they are the rock stars,
Oh, yeah.
like from nowhere.
What
like
year
just
was the first year?
05.
So that was Luxury Pushers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a blend where I get the Mystery Addicts. like,
Yeah,
blur
when did the
into-
Mystery Addicts start? Because I saw
Do
you
we,
there.
do we want to take a quick break here? We've been
Yeah,
going
let's
for
take a
a minute.
quick break.
We'll take a quick
Let's
pause.
do that.
Hey everybody, Producer Sprinkle here. The fellas and I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this episode of Meet Me in the City. Part 2 of our conversation with Jamy Holliday will be our next episode, so stay tuned for that. As always, subscribing to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, or leaving a rating or review, helps us out a lot in just getting discovered on those platforms by other people. Thank you to everyone who has already done that. It's a big help. See you next time on Meet Me in the City.